what's up, YouTube? It's Richie from Boston. Today's the 27th of April, 2017, and I'm making this video to explain a topic that many people don't seem to understand. Now, I just had a conversation of sorts with ODD TV, as well as a young fella from deep inside the rabbit hole. I don't know if his name is readily available, so we'll just call him Dearth for now. Deep inside the rabbit hole. And we were discussing things like Gotham Shield, Sandy Hook, 9/11, and quantum computers and AIs. Now, I put a video up yesterday, and a lot of people had questions saying, what do you mean that Gotham Shield is just a drill in preparation? Well, let's put it this way, okay? Things like Gotham Shield, 9/11, Sandy Hook, the Boston bombing, all those different things all have one thing in common. It turns out that during every single solitary one of these country-changing, civil right-changing events, there was a drill going on. Now, when I made that video yesterday, what I was alluding to and what a couple of other guys just confirmed, it's a suspicion that I had, is they do these drills all the while the drill's going on. The quantum computers, the AI, and the social media are all watching. They're doing their drills, whether people know about them or people don't, and they monitor it through things like Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and the like. If they realize that the people are asleep, not enough people are running around, not enough people are making videos about it. Not enough people are paying attention. Like the morning of September 11th, I didn't see that coming. Did you? The only person that was talking about it that I know of was Bill Cooper, and he has since been killed by the same United States government. And that's just how it is. But what's going on is while they're doing their drill, if they realize that if the quantum computer is watching Twitter, Facebook, emails, tweets, cell phone chatter, and they realize that nobody's really paying attention, they hit the switch and it goes live. And that's exactly what happened on September 11th. Nobody was paying attention. Nobody saw that coming. And they indeed were doing a drill for the exact same type of attack that actually occurred on September 11th. It turns out the exact same day that Sandy Hook allegedly happened, they had been doing a 2-day drill at the St. Rose of Lima school. And that's a fact. That's what this footage is from. This isn't Sandy Hook Elementary. This is St. Rose of Lima. They realized that they could get away with it, and then they pulled the trigger. Who makes the decisions for all? Exactly. Always watching, always monitoring, always processing. Why do you think they developed something that can process billions of bits of information per second, faster than 7 billion human brains? That's exactly what's going on. And again, they're using things like Twitter, Facebook, everything to get real-time information. And they decide, okay, nobody's paying attention to Gotham Shield. Hit the switch. Let's go live. It's a spur-of-the-moment thing, which is why they're always drilling. They're always waiting. Toole saying it best. They're waiting like a stalking butler. If nobody's paying attention, if nobody's on quote-unquote false flag alert, they hit the switch. They flip it. And that's exactly why we have things like this right now. This isn't for our enjoyment. This isn't for our entertainment. This is so that they can monitor us right up to the very second. They can make trends. They can see what's trending as it's occurring. Do you see what I'm saying? That's why all this is going on right now. It allows them the unprecedented opportunity to see what people are thinking right to the very second in time. And if it's feasible, they flip the switch and everything goes live. And we have a new 9/11. We have a new Sandy Hook. Why do you think every single solitary time you look into it, it turns out that there was a drill going simultaneously with the actual event? Boston Marathon, several people said that there was drills going on at the same time, and these were several good people that all actually got room.
We have been reporting all day long. Several local runners were in Boston today for the marathon.
And one of those was University of Mobile cross-country coach Allie Stevenson. His wife was sitting in the stands where the bomb went off just moments before the explosion. Local 15's John Zenidis joins us now.
John Stevenson is really a veteran marathoner racing all over the world. He says he noticed something a little different before today's race.
Well, he did, Greg. He noticed a lot more security before the marathon, much more than he'd seen at any other marathon, including bomb-sniffing dogs, spotters on the roofs, and loudspeaker announcements saying it was just a training exercise. But city law enforcement officials have said there were no credible threats before the race.
My wife, Melanie, she had been sitting right where the explosions went off.
Cross-country coach Allie Stevenson had just crossed the finish line.
She had come to see me at the finish, and then we were walking back down towards the finish area.
Then, right where his wife had been sitting.
And all of a sudden, we heard a loud explosion, and this big sulfur smell came through, and then another big explosion went off, and then people just started running, and then people crying in the street. It was a horrible experience.
Stevenson remembered seeing heightened security before the marathon.
At the start line this morning, they had bomb spotters on the roofs of the buildings, and they had bomb-sniffing dogs coming up and down at the start line, and Melanie said there was bomb-sniffing dogs at the finish line.
They even made announcements on the loudspeaker about the increased security.
They kept making announcements saying to the participants, do not worry, this is just a training exercise. Evidently, I don't believe they were just having a training exercise. I think they must have known, they must have had some kind of threat or suspicion called in.
And that's exactly how they do it. And this story happens time and time and time again. Because while they're doing the drill, the D-Wave is doing its job in the background. Always monitoring, always checking, always watching. Why do you think when you're talking to your loved one or a coworker about a purchase you're thinking about making, you look on your computer screen and suddenly you get an email that's the exact same thing? Now, you hadn't typed it in yet, had you? Admit it. It happens to me all the time. This thing... There's a reason why Samsung televisions had to put out a warning saying that the televisions were watching and listening even when they weren't turned on. That's a fact. And guess what happened? There was no public outcry. There was no nothing. Samsung's one of the #1 selling televisions in the world. That's a fact.
The Samsung smart televisions, they had that button where you push it and you have voice commands. So you say, hey, I want to watch the Laker game, and it sends that information to a third party, and then boom, you're watching the Laker game. Well, the problem is, and Samsung has warned people about this, is that everything you say while that light's on, you're talking to friends, you're talking to your husband, everything you say is being picked up on that microphone and sent to a third party, right? And then that stuff is being saved. Now, Samsung says they're not selling the information, but they fully admit they are sharing the information, all that private talk. Your television's picking it up. You know, next thing you know, you say, hey, I love that car. And what happens? A car commercial comes up next. Then you'll know, oh, yeah, we're being watched.
That's not conspiracy. This is actually old news that people just wave off. And the funny things, too, is about television, there's always predictive programming. For instance, what's right there in the background? Exactly. It's always 9/11 or 666. But that, I digress. The White House refused to admit that they could even imagine something like 9/11 occurring. And yet, drills for exactly what occurred on 9/11 were occurring on 9/11. They realized that nobody was paying attention, and they went live. This happens time and time and time and time again. So before you wave somebody off for being a tinfoil wearing conspiracy theorist because they're talking about things, you may want to pay attention, because if we weren't paying attention, we'd already have the New World Order marching up and down the streets right now. You don't think it's odd that Facebook is coming out with things like this? This is live right now. Zuckerberg is working on a brain interface that lets you communicate using only your mind. Really, in a perfect world, that would perhaps be something awesome. But in a world full of fear, greed, hate, envy, this right here will be our very undoing. Now, according to the story, Zuckerberg was just some school kid that came up with a great idea for a Facebook app, and now he's the ruler of the world. He's building UFO hunting rockets with Stephen Hawking, and now he's trying to figure out how to get the computer to communicate with you, whether you know it or not. And believe it or not, it's already occurring. So once again, all these false flag events that we've had to endure, I mean, this is amazing how often and frequently it's occurring, because when you look around, everyone is asleep. The drills that are going on right now, if there wasn't so much awareness, they'd be live. But it doesn't make any difference because it just lets them know their computer is still learning right now how to make sure it can outsmart us when they do decide they want it to go live. Believe it or not, these guys are prepared. They're ready. America is just an empty shell right now. We don't export anything except war. Our main import is drugs, and our biggest institute in the United States is the prison system. And that's just hard facts. If there weren't so many people like us running around yelling and hooting and hollering and always paying attention, all the while being ridiculed by others that have no idea what's going on at all, that still think that we somehow landed on the moon, that still don't know that the Titanic was a giant insurance job, and still think that 2 buildings fall in a perfectly controlled collapse and actually disappear as they're falling down. They think that those are actual acts done by a guy in a cave on dialysis with a laptop. I got a toy factory in the North Pole, if there actually was a North Pole. At any rate, Richie from Boston, like, share, subscribe, or don't. Links will be in the description. It's getting crazy. We're not paranoid. Government is out to get us. And I'm out.